Sonic Adventure 2 is what many consider a GOAT of the franchise, and even through its slight jank, this is still plain to see. Though with how many things are plain to see in this game, majority gets skipped over, with videos covering this game focusing on niche oddities. So today, instead of looking at what you missed, let's look at what most ignored in Sonic Adventure 2, starting with Sonic's action stages. We all know how every video about this game starts, instant gushing over City Escape, and yes, it is iconic, but this leads everyone to ignore a glaring problem this intro brings Sonic. While we all know Sonic's criminal status throughout the game, obviously we know how this will end, with Sonic saving the day and getting a pardon. However, while majority of his crimes would be pardoned, the street and property damage caused by this initial streetboarding section will need paying off, implying that Sonic will need to get a part-time job after this game's events to pay all this damage off. After running deeper into the level, we come across a billboard that reads of a food item called a sub burger. This implies that Eggman isn't the only bearer of advanced technology, because clearly this is a genetic modification of food combining a generic sub sandwich with a burger. And of course, we can't talk about City Escape without discussing the animal Omochow tells us about behind these newspaper boxes, which was an oddly political take from Sega, implying the media is beastly. It was surprising to me when doing research for this video, every other video I saw glossed over the fact that the Gunwalker's name was Bigfoot, implying Bigfoot is not just a myth in this universe, but actually real. Metal Harbor starts off instantly giving us the iconic light shoes upgrade, though the light prefix doesn't make much sense when dashing through rings doesn't really have anything to do with light unless you look closely. If you look deeply into the ring model, you can see the inside of the ring actually houses a lens that bounces the light shoes prefix from one ring to the next. The loop-de-loop architecture of Metal Harbor at first didn't make much sense to me, due to its only purpose seeming to be for Sonic to escape. Though after seeing these planes insane maneuvering around this aircraft carrier, the route we are taking must be actually meant as a flying course for gun pilots taking their complex jet functions final exam. While there is nothing standout about the fight itself, the confrontation of Shadow and Green Forest shows us how Sonic wears his thoughts on his sleeve. This is seen specifically when Sonic takes 2 steps forward as he says, "I found you, faker," with the 2 hesitant steps signifying his confusion about there being 2 fast hedgehogs, him and Shadow. Now with Prison Island finna blow, we start to run through many log tracks throughout this forest, though while it was never revealed to the public, these tubular tracks in these levels were supposed to advertise a Sonic Adventure 2 marble course toy modeled after each level. However, this sadly never became a reality. Running through this level, we can start to see the toll the timer puts on Sonic. Due to this stressful situation, Sonic starts to get nervous, making it so during this level, Sonic has a 25% chance to whiff his homing attacks as seen here. And with how ancient this forest is, no wonder we find the ancient light here as well. Though when combined with Sonic, this ancient light actually becomes just the old light due to Sonic's youth counteracting the ancient factor. Pyramid Cave starts off with a tunnel with a few hoops that when passed through, gain you points. While you can believe this is just a fun little mechanic that devs thought of for those trying to get an A rank, this was actually a malicious play on the saying jumping through hoops, just to make fun of any player who does this like a sheep. The Bounce Bracelet is a beloved item with a troubled past. Its original name was the Bounce Bracelet, implying this brace would let Sonic bounce. However, the abbreviation BBL prevented them from getting an E for everyone rating, so it was changed. The hourglasses inside the pyramid share a design on top with many springs we see across the world. This implies that this logo is from a warmongering company that profits off of the disputes between Sonic and Eggman, probably even egging on Eggman at times for profit. The Egg Golem boss fight is actually a pretty sad fight to behold. This poor golem isn't even trying to fight Sonic and is clearly just banging his hands on his surroundings just to alleviate the pain he's feeling from having his back impaled in multiple places. This is even more apparent when Sonic jumps onto his back, with the golem stopping his movement, hoping Sonic can remove these objects in his back if he stands still. Though this trust is short-lived, with Sonic homing attacking the golem's head, adding a concussion onto his impalement pain. Crazy Gadget has some very surreal light structures lining the walls across every room. These all usually flash or strobe in varying patterns, and with how many there are, it can't be a coincidence these are so prevalent. What must have happened is Eggman was fed false info about Sonic, tricking him into thinking Sonic had epilepsy. This caused Eggman to try to get an advantage with these irritating lights, but since this was a lie, he wasted millions on LEDs for nothing. The P100 variety of Artificial Chaos has a weird built-in sim-immunity to Sonic. While he defeated Chaos in Sonic Adventure 1, he still is a little afraid of it, causing him to hesitate at random times, facing them like we see here. The final gravity flipping segment of Crazy Gadget might look slightly familiar. While this is obviously a ripoff of Tetris, the real issue here is by the end of the level it's impossible for Sonic to tell which way is really up, leaving him with a permanent superstition where he thinks he is upside down at all times. Final Rush is the definition of grind rail central, practically allowing you to do the entire stage without touching the ground. Though, why would a stage with this many rails be added when rails are so widely hated? What seems to be the case is while it's not documented, many actually really enjoy the rail grinding in this game, so much so that an underground community of people who call themselves railers exists on the internet. One of the rooms in Final Rush proposes a question: red, blue, or yellow. Each of these paths but one lead to the next rail, with the red path leading to a shield. While inherently this doesn't imply anything, the fact the developer chose to put an item in the red hole specifically implies that that dev's favorite color is red. The Mystic Melody's description is wrong, with it saying that Melody can play melodies when its name only implies one melody. The Shadow rematch is the final fight in Sonic's story, and with how iconic it is, you may think there's nothing of note left to analyze, though if you look closely, the platforms Sonic and Shadow run on start to crumble behind them. This implies that Sonic and Shadow's muscle mass is so dense that even zero-gravity platforms in a space vacuum couldn't hold their weight. And that is the end of this video. If you experienced anything positive from this experience, you know what to do.